And we're live. Welcome to the Lakers Pulse podcast. This is an emergency podcast because something just happened. In case you didn't know, Demarcus Cousins got traded to the Pelicans in a trade that was. Well, I'll save my thoughts and everyone else's thoughts on the trade for a little bit later. I am the host of this podcast. Clayton cannot do anything. So yeah, I'm the dictator of the Lakers Pulse podcast for tonight. I also host a podcast called For the Culture, which you guys can go check out. It's a little promo right there.
Shameless plug.
Yeah, shameless plug. I don't care. We just started. We recorded our first episode yesterday, so you guys can go check that out on the channel. With me today, I have Mr. Clayton Fawcett. What's up, Clayton?
What's up?
And I have Merge. What's up, Merge?
What is going on? Kangs.
Oh my god.
What's going on right now?
What happened,
Oh
Clayton?
my god.
Oh, Clayton.
Go look at the Pelicans tweet.
Oh my god, this has to be.
Oh my word. It's a freaking Pelican walking by and it's got Rick Ross every day I'm hustling on it. Oh my word. Oh my gosh. That's
The Pelicans just won also.
All right, so Clayton lost his star now. All right, Merge. So Cousins. All right, guys, come on. Order in the court.
I'm sorry. Oh man.
Okay. So Demarcus Cousins just got traded to the Pelicans. Merge. What are your thoughts on the trade?
Oh man, Kings. I don't even know what is going on in Vivek's head right now, but they are in full rebuild mode now, and they might be for a while because they made some bad moves. I think the funniest part of this whole thing is that the Pelicans offered the same trade that they were going to offer for Jahlil Okafor minus Buddy Hield.
They couldn't agree on the protections.
So
I mean, it probably would have been like I think they were trying to get a top 10 protected or a lotto protected. And
Yeah.
Philly was greedy.
well,
Yeah.
anyway, but the Pelicans 100% won this trade. I think that's not even a question.
No.
Demarcus and Anthony Davis have potential to be one of the more dominant front courts in recent memory. Man, if Cousins can try more on defense, and I can definitely see him, wanting to try more. Now, it's gonna be scary for the rest of the West, the rest of the NBA, and like for the next 4 or 5 years. I don't know what the Kings are thinking, but it's definitely made for a fun night of Kings ridicule.
So the official trade was Buddy Hield, Tyreek Evans, Langston Galloway, a future first rounder that apparently has a top 3 protection on it, which means that the Kings are probably going to get it unless something really goes wrong with the Pelicans, a major injury happens or something like that. And they get a future second for Demarcus Cousins and Omar Caspi. So that's not anything at all compared to what a Cousins' value is. They literally sold them pennies on dollar. Like, you will not see a better bargain ever. Honestly, like, this is literally a highway robbery. Like, if you thought the Brooklyn trade with the Celtics was bad, and if you thought the Sixers trade with the Kings was bad, this trade is probably better.
This is on par with the Pau Gasol trade.
Yeah.
I've seen that floated around. I mean, but Buddy Hield is no Marc Gasol.
He is not Marc Gasol.
And people still love Hield, but I mean, Sam Vecini just tweeted that DeMarcus Cousins has made 6 more 3-pointers than Buddy Hield has this year. And of course, the usage and everything, but that's like supposed to be Hield's forte. And if they think that's like the big get in this trade, Oh man, like that front office can't be there. I mean, like they're probably gonna get time to rebuild, but I can't. I mean, I would fire him like in the summer. But the problem is Vivek was an idiot and he signed off on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He was the one that okayed it. So.
Yeah, like Wadi couldn't do anything unless Vivek said yes.
Yeah. Let's turn this to more Lakers stuff instead of just ranting about how hilarious this deal is. I've seen both sides. Like smarter Laker Twitter, I think, has been more of just like, I'm glad that the Lakers didn't trade one of our highly sought prospects, and I totally agree with that. Then there's, of course, the general fan, like, you're not trading everything for for Boogie Cousins. What are you doing? like
Boston fan.
They. I mean, if anyone really lost out on this deal, it is Boston.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I mean, it sounds like that's deflecting, but like, we don't have the assets to, move. Like, we don't have a for sure first-round draft pick. You can't even for sure trade a first-round draft pick if you're LA until 2021. Like, so you're going to have to give up a player. Mm-hmm. And while Boogie is possibly the best big man in the league, like, you don't just like give way more value than what the Pelicans just gave up. Like, I would take, if I was the Kings, I'd take Brandon Ingram straight up. I mean, if obviously you'd have to make salaries work and whatnot, but like that, just Brandon Ingram alone would be such a bigger get than what they got, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I think that the Lakers could have. I think that Julius plus JC or something along that line. I think that could have been enough, according to what this trade. That's way more than what the Kings got. I mean, in terms of value. But I don't see why that trade is not as good or like a better trade than what they got right now. But like you said, my thing is like the Lakers didn't trade Brandon Ingram. Like that's the most important thing that came from this night. The front office stood pat, and I'm sure they were tempted. Like I'm not sure they were able to just be like, oh yeah, Boogie for sure. Like no way. Like I'm sure they thought about it and they were like, you know what? No, we're rebuilding. We have a good young core. Let's not mess this up. So that's props to them. That's something that everyone's talking about the timeline and what Mitch was gonna do and Jim and how they're gonna like try to get to the playoffs and getting Boogie and without giving up D'Angelo Russell, it's still like I guess sort of a playoff move in a way. Like I still don't think that gets him into the playoffs, but it could be seen as a playoff move and Genie's happy with that or something like that like it finally got a superstar or whatever. But in terms of the timeline and stuff like that, it's good on Jim that if this is what he's gonna be remembered by, it's a good thing that that he stood pat and he didn't trade a young piece after spending so many years losing and getting all these assets to then just flip him for a Boogie who could potentially be a 1 year and a half rental would just be a really bad image, and I'm sure that most of Lakers would remember him as being like bad. As much as people want to be all hot takey and the Lakers could have done this, could have done that. The important thing is that the core is still intact, and even if the Lakers lose their pick this year, whatever happens, the Lakers still have a really good core, and that's props to Mitch for drafting so well and the front office for drafting so well. And I'm as much as I would want Boogie, I'm still kind of a believer in that he can turn it around. I want him to turn around. I'm ready for him. He's kind of a dick. I still want him to turn around, and it'd be cool if he could do that with the Lakers and keeping and signing like Ingram and Russell. But it didn't work out that way, and he's now a Pelican, so that happened. Merge, what are your thoughts on the Lakers and Boogie?
I think the biggest take is what you said, is that they didn't trade Ingram. That gives me more confidence with the front office. I'm tired of seeing on Twitter Laker fans and even like non-Laker fans are saying how they didn't give him Ingram for Demarcus Cousins. That's so dumb. He he hasn't been good this year or whatever. Well, I mean, 19 years old player who, in my opinion, has a higher ceiling than what Boogie is right now. I just don't see why you would do that, and I'm happy the Lakers did not try to just go all in for a big name superstar player, and that just makes me a little bit more confident than what I was in the front office.
Yeah, I mean, like, especially with all the rumors of Magic and how his influence would affect the Lakers and his future job status going forward. It's great to see that Lakers, weren't able to do a boneheaded move like this. And, this was kind of, although we said it jokingly, it was kind of our fear with, like, a Magic input on a team and his, like, mentality that Lakers are a superstar away and this is, like, a chance to get him. Like, Ingram, for something else, he still keeps D'Angelo. I mean, just thinking in Magic's head, he still keeps D'Angelo, the guy that I think that he likes more than Ingram. I think just because he's a point guard and tall and has a lot of has like insane vision. And you still keep D'Angelo, and all you give up is Ingram, who hasn't played that well this year, and you get your superstar that you're supposedly only one superstar away from. You finally get the guy that you guys need to do something. So I mean, it's just good to see that the front office didn't budge, and that. Even though we had our concerns, it's good to still have some faith in the front office and that they're not terrible. So I think as far as like the Lakers implications goes, this probably is going to have a huge effect on the trade market going forward, and how teams are more active or less active, and how the market goes and how players are valued. So I'm gonna give this one to Clayton because he was the one that instantly was talking about Lou Williams and his trade value. So go ahead, Clayton.
Real quick, I want to talk more about that Boogie in LA thing. Okay. First off, how you said this kind of shows like they didn't make a boneheaded move. It shows that even if they're afraid of that they're going to lose their jobs, which I would say most likely that's what's going to happen. It's showing that Jim is like, hey, I'm a freaking owner here, okay? And the franchise is more important to me than trying to save my job, which, I mean, not like I have no idea if he gets paid extra to be able to do basketball, president of basketball operations or whatever. So it shows like these guys, like they're here to keep the franchise intact instead of dealing, for a superstar. So if you deal for a superstar, you have a max salary opening this free agency. So, but problem is you have to pay Luol Deng and Timothy Mozgov. So you would have had to include like Tarek Black and probably Zubats and part of this deal.
Yeah.
And now you've got everyone's just like, oh, the Lakers aren't going to want to spend, $40 million on their just the fives alone. Like, well, that's what they would have been doing like soon if you sign them to an extension.
Yeah.
And well, the whole like franchise player type extension is now kind of out the window. I don't know if they can give 5 years. They still have his bird rights, so I'm not up to date yet on all of that. Mm-hmm. So then you may or may not get a free agent. You're still stuck with Deng and Mozgov. and then like what do you have? Your Sacramento South.
Yeah.
If you trade Ingram, I mean you would hope to have like D'Lo and Randall still, or Nance or whoever you're higher on, whatever. But then like those guys are going to have to produce immediately, like the timeline gets all screwed up. And if they don't start producing by the end of this year, then the front office is like, oh crap, what do we do now? Well, let's make panic trades. And then we're going to start packaging young guys. And then we go from having a couple of young players to, that some people still question the future. I still think it's really high, but like you might not have a pick this summer. So there goes another asset that you can't trade. Then what do you try and deal for? D'Lo and Randall for
like
Jimmy Butler?
No, it would be less than that, I think, just because I think people don't look so highly on D'Angelo right now. Honestly, I have no idea. Like a CJ McCollum level type player.
Like
Not him exactly, but someone at his level.
Clay?
I don't know, honestly.
Did I get cut out or just you? Just was it
No,
just me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you, Clay.
Yeah. I got cut off for some reason. My internet's been acting up.
It's like
But,
wasn't
like,
me.
Yeah, this time it wasn't you. You go from having a few assets and building a potentially strong young core to now you have Boogie Cousins, and now you for sure have all the pressure, and you're going to have to start dealing guys, and you're going to have to start trying to compete. And what are you going to compete with? You know?
Yeah.
If the Lakers got Demarcus for Ingram, and now he starts doing stuff up in Sacramento, you have to try and still compete with Golden State and Sacramento. This team isn't good enough to play with those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Even if we got Boogie, we wouldn't be good enough to play with Denver.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean, of course you're hoping for natural progression and everything, but like if they don't finish well, then you're going to be panicking. Like Indiana has repeatedly said Paul George is not on the table.
And
He's not being moved. So just stop it. Like you're gonna hope for him to be a free agent next summer, but then your max slot is gone, and then you still have those two guys, and then what? Like you're not getting Paul George, you're not getting Jimmy Butler because you don't have the assets for either. So then you still have DeMarcus, and then in 2018 he can opt out and go somewhere else for max money, like with Paul George or whoever. That's like the vaunted free agent class. Then you've tried to deal everyone away. You have no young assets. You have no draft picks, and you're stuck with Mozgov and Day.
Yeah.
You know, like I would have loved to have Boogie if it was for a bad deal, but like who on our team is like Heald has been atrocious. So like you're thinking what? You're thinking Jordan Clarkson would be better?
Yeah.
I think something that we're kind of forgetting is that the Kings valued Buddy Hield on the same level as Brandon Ingram. So I mean, as much as we can say Buddy Hield isn't going to be that good, they looked at him like he is going to be very good, and they got someone like Brandon Ingram. So I mean, who's to say that they would have said yes to Jordan Clarkson?
Exactly, or Randall. I mean, maybe they could have soured on Randall just as much as any of the people on Lakers Twitter could have soured on him. You know, so like, could the Lakers have beaten this trade out? Yeah, I mean, you could have offered D'Lo and Ingram, but then that bad situation happens, and then what do? You say, and then like if Boogie leaves, then you're stuck with you have absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
You know, you're in a worse situation than now. Like you're starting over you're starting off even worse than when Dwight left.
Yeah.
You know, and like you go from having like no assets, like at least when Dwight left, we had a couple picks coming up. You know, like we have no idea if he's going to keep this year's pick. If we keep this year's pick, then we lose next year's pick. There's so many factors in it. Like I do not blame the Lakers, and I'm happy that the Lakers didn't give up one of their top two young guys.
Yeah, and I mean,
like I'm probably going to take heat from it in the comments, you know, but like if anyone leaves comments.
Shade.
Apparently, only people leave comments on the funny videos. But like it's just like be smart.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot in play there. You know, you give up an asset. We're not the Celtics. We're not Denver. Like New Orleans didn't really give up a ton. You know, they
still have Drew Holiday, which is ridiculous to me.
And I would assume now Drew is off the table for LA. He's going to stay in New Orleans
There's no way.
because he's going to now be playing with with Boogie and AD, and that's a nice youngish. How old is Drew? Is he 25?
He was like
26?
25, 26, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're all. I think Boogie's 26, so
Yeah.
two All NBA guys and one borderline All Star.
Yeah, one
That's
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't like if I was Drew, I wouldn't come to LA.
Yeah.
Nope.
I mean, so like, I mean, I guess you would hope that you would have brought in Drew or Gordon Hayward, but like, it's just. You don't know. I hate playing those odds. I'd much rather gamble with draft picks and keep with their low salaries than continually punting in free agency for top guys. So whatever. I talked a ton. So how about one of you guys talk about Lou, and then I'll give my thoughts on it.
Yeah. So I guess I'll go. So obviously this trade was. I don't know if it's exactly like a thing that we can base the trade market off of, just because I think that it's the Kangs, and the Kangs do Kangs things, and I'm sure that most teams are still going to value their assets pretty well, I guess. And I'm sure that there's going to be a lot more. I think that teams are going to be less focused on getting like Lou Williams type guys. They're going to poke and prod and try to get Indiana to trade Paul George or something like that, or Jimmy Butler. They're going to trade. I think it affects those guys more. Their trade value more than it affects Lou Williams' trade value, just because I think the Wizards were never going to like go after Demarcus Cousins or anything like that. And also,
I wonder if they could have, to be honest, if they had tried to offer the stuff.
They could offer what, like Kelly.
Kelly, they're picking like Gortat.
Yeah.
That's a much better trade than the Buddy Hield one.
Yeah. I mean, we're obviously really low on Buddy Hield. I have always been the guy that said Buddy Hield is not a top 5 talent in last year's draft. He was borderline top 10 talent in my opinion. And to get just that meh prospect and like a bunch of other guys they're gonna buy out, and then a meh pick, like that's just it's so one sided that like I can't remember a more one sided trade as far as like, and I think that. Like looking back on it, it's going to be like probably one of the best trades ever.
Literally, it's the Powell trade.
Yeah,
I can't think of a different, like a better comparison. I mean, Crittenton like got traded pretty quickly, I believe, if not even cut.
He was like a borderline lottery pick, right?
Yeah,
top like 20, top 25.
I think 25. And then they gave up the rights to Marcus All, which turned out to be really good, but like no one really knew. And then it was Kwame Brown. Like, so I mean, it's a trade on that par, So
yeah, but I mean, I just think that that Lou Williams is still going to attract. Like I think Kelly is reasonable for Lou Williams still. Kelly plus trade Burke or something like that. I don't know if the first round picks aren't in play anymore. I think it has to be like either or now. It's not going to be like it can't be Burke and the pick. No, it can't be Burke, the pick, and Kelly. It has to be Burke, Kelly, or Burke and the pick.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously,
well, you're gonna have to have salary in there somewhere. It would have to be like Kelly or like Burke and the pick and like Sheldon McLennan and like one other like minimum guy, because it doesn't match up on salaries otherwise.
Yeah, but I think that the Wizards still do that trade. I think they need scoring, and especially with the Kevin Love injury, I think the Wizards and the Raptors, especially if they get Lou Williams, that they can be like in that conversation for giving the Cavs a serious run for the money. So yeah, I mean, I think that Lou Williams is still, his market's still pretty good. I think the Lakers can still swing a deal, especially Mitch proved today that that he is going to win a deal, and if he does not win the deal, he's not going to make a trade. Because say what you want about DeMarcus Cousins and say what you want about Ingram. Ingram for Cousins is a losing deal, especially if Cousins leaves. Just because timelines don't match up or whatever. But we're going to get into all that. So, Merch, what are your thoughts on Lou's market?
I think it'll stay relatively the same. I think again, it's more of a thing that NBA Twitter and like NBA fans look at it as a bad trade, but in the Kings' mind, they think that it was an equal-ish deal, and they value Buddy Hield really high. So even if they're not good at evaluating talent, they still, they held him to a high standard. So I think it won't really be much different than what Lou would bring in. I think I feel like we've talked about the Wizards one so much that it'll probably happen because I mean,
it's the one that makes the absolute most sense
for both sides, yeah.
And real quick, I'll let you keep talking, but
Yeah.
it would have to be Lou for Burke, a guy like Sheldon McLennan and Daniel Thornton for it to work. Otherwise, they need 1.4. I mean, they would probably be more than happy to do that, but then we have to cut 2 players, and I don't know if the Lakers would exactly want to do that. So, I mean, cut 1 player, or I can play around with it. You keep talking. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, I don't even know if I have much to say, but I think that it's going to stay relatively the same. I think the next few days are going to be really interesting. I feel like just like even in the whole NBA sense, I think there's going to be a lot of movement with players. But I still think Lou's going to be traded. I give it like an 80% chance that he's traded. And I don't even know if the Lakers even relatively have to win the deal. It would be nice to get a pick or Oubre, but it's more of a addition by subtraction for a long-term type thing with Lou.
Yeah. All right, Summer, I have more of an NBA question for you. Do you think that the trade market becomes a buyer's market or a seller's market after this trade?
I don't know. That's a tough question. I think it's more of a seller's market because if let's say oh wait, hold on. I was gonna give an example, but I realized it kind of contradicted what I was trying to say. I was gonna give the Ibaka Terry Rozier example that the Celtics did. I don't know if the Celtics approached or the Magic approached the Celtics for Ibaka, or if the Celtics approached the Magic for Ibaka, but Danny Ainge didn't want to give up Terry Rozier.
They way overvalue their players.
They're like
unbelievable how much they overvalue their guys. Like Terry Rozier may turn into something good, but like they needed defense and rebounding, and Serge would have provided, better than Kelly Olynyk or whatever.
What they needed. He's exactly what they needed.
Yeah, that was an epic fail.
Yeah, that's why as much as I love someone like Jimmy, I don't know how much of their problems he will fix. I think he'll give them more scoring, obviously, and equal defense, someone like Avery Bradley, but they need someone who can rebound and block shots, and they don't have that guy. Amir Johnson is not that guy. Horford is not athletic enough to keep up with a Tristan Thompson or something like that. I don't know.
They seriously have missed out on Ibaka and Boogie. Like they could have easily over or outbid the Pelicans, like in their sleep. Like Danny Ainge in a drunken stupor could have been like, here, how about this? And just like thrown crap at the wall, and it would have been like 2 first-round draft picks and like a Terry Rozier and been fine. Or shoot, even a Jaylen Brown. Like if they wanted a guy that high, like people are saying that LA lost out. Like Boston has been just a failure with that, in my opinion. Like Boogie with a head case, and they're building something there, but he solves a lot of what they need of, when Boogie is focused, which is always a question. He's pretty good on defense, and he's a really good rebounder.
Yeah.
And that would have been a fun, interesting front court with Horford and Boogie, and
And then Isaiah pick and rolls with Boogie and.
Yep. So, I mean, and that's 5 out right there. You're playing 5 out.
I think this is their biggest chance to even make noise in the East with Kevin Love being out.
This was the time for them to make a move. They could have easily done something ridiculous and then still had paid go all in. You know, they could have they've got so many assets. Trade a couple of them in a deal like this, and then go get Jimmy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's easier said than done. Don't get me wrong. It's easier said than done. But this could have been your time, and
they could have had a squad that can beat the Celtics. I mean the Cavs.
And you just let it slip through your fingers. I don't know.
All right, so
I didn't even get to talk on it depressing the market. My turn.
Yeah, go ahead, Clayton. Yeah, because Clayton hasn't talked enough, guys. Clayton hasn't talked enough. Let's give him some time. Let's give him some run.
I'm just playing.
Mr. Rant.
I do question if this does depress his market. He's on a good contract and he's putting up a insane PER and whatnot, but all NBA guy was just traded for crap. And I know that was a bad deal, just straight up ineptitude. But yeah, oh man, that's such a bad deal. I don't know how it doesn't depress the market. You know, it's yeah. I mean, Washington could have been really interesting. You guys shortly touched upon it. They could have easily beaten that and paired John Wall with his buddy Boogie.
Yeah,
you know,
and still have Beal and Otto.
Yeah, I mean, the question of course is, will it depress it, and is it now Kelly and a pick for Lou? Well, if it's going to have to be Trey Burke and Oubre for Oubre or for Lou, and of course you might have to you're still trying to gun for that pick. But everyone I've seen, Kelly Oubre's been really, really good for them. He's a major part of their rotation, and I've even been I
thought he was.
That makes a lot of sense. He's fun and exciting, and he's only 20 or 21. He's got right now he's currently got a PER of 8.9.
Yeah,
and he's now playing on the season almost 21 minutes a game. He's shooting 41% from the field, 30% from three. And only scoring 6.2 points per game, whatever. But the PER isn't very good, and you're just with him in the lineup, it's good. But then of course you have to look up who he's playing in lineups with. A lot of the time, they are very reliant on Beal, Ball, and Porter. So of course, if you put Oubre with those three and you push Porter to the 4, and whoever at the 5, that lineup is going to be really good.
Yeah,
I think I didn't know that Lonzo Ball was on the Wizards. I didn't know.
Did I say Ball?
Yeah, you said Ball.
I thought I said Wall. Whatever.
Clayton just loves Lonzo Ball that much.
He loves talking about Lonzo and how high he has him on his board.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, I don't know. He might be better than Fultz, guys.
No.
Undercover UCLA fan over here?
No. Yeah. Anyways, if the Lakers are so determined to not trade or cut anyone, which they really seem like they don't want to cut anyone, it would have to be 2 for 2, and you're going to have to try and make it work. In that case, you're either going to have to take on a crappy contract like Jason Smith or Andrew Nicholson, but both of those guys are 4s and signed for 3 and 4 years. Mm-hmm. I don't see them coming close to wanting that. And it's not like you can put in Jan Mahimi, because then you're going to have to – then that screws up the Lakers' fives even more than they're messed up now. So, like, it would have to be either Trey Burke and Kelly Oubre or Trey Burke and Sadorensky. And for Lou, and I put in Thomas Robinson because they're not going to cut our test. I mean, that's pretty evident. And I tried Huertas. Huertas apparently makes just a little too much for that deal to work.
Oh.
And like I said, you could finagle it to where it's Burke and like Sheldon McClellan and Marcus Thornton, but then it's a 3-for-1. Lakers are going to have to, just to make the deal work, they're going to have to cut guys. And then they're going to have to cut the guys that they just got. And I don't, that's usually not how the Lakers have worked in the past couple of years. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I would continue to push for Oubre and the first round pick. I mean, lose on contract for another 2 years. You're giving them, I mean, they can cut Thomas Robinson right now, but he's got a better PER than Andrew Nicholson and Jason Smith. Yeah, unless we're gonna have to, like, we'd have to like look at different teams. That one has been the one that just makes the most sense, and even Woj talked about it. But I don't see how any other way would work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's still an unlikely trade, and I mean, it seems more likely by the day though, but it's still not. I'm not sure it's going to happen. So, and his market is probably not going to go much higher than it was like a couple weeks ago. So maybe the Lakers, missed out on that. But there's always a team that panics at the deadline, like, oh shit, like the clock's ticking and we're like almost a contender and we can make a move. So I mean, that's probably what be the best case scenario. Someone makes a panic move and trades for Lou Williams and gives up hopefully like a good asset first rounder, even though that team is hard to find. It's not exactly like out there. So
yeah,
that's kind of worrisome.
Actually,
Toronto, you go, Merge. I'm sorry.
A team that's looking to trade their first round pick right now is the Pacers, and
Yeah.
they said they're trying to get. I mean, I know Lou's not going to make them a top 3 or 4 team in the East, but they're saying that they want another scorer next to Paul George, and I mean, what's their pick out right now? Like 20, something like that. I'm assuming, because they're like bottom half of the playoff race. I believe
they're at 18 right now.
Yeah, they're 18. So I mean,
they're at 18 right now.
They don't look like a team that would. I mean, Paul George may be another name to watch out for in trade deadline.
That's not happening. I'm going to tell you right now, he's not being dealt.
But
he's like, shut up, Clayton.
His name's been out there. It's all I'm gonna say. His name's been out there. So,
his name has been out there by Danny Ainge, like trying to slip it to people. Like, the dude isn't being moved. Larry Bird has said that he'll like hang up on people if you call.
Anyway,
I mean, to be fair, Vlade and the front office said that they were going to trade Demarcus Cousins. So you kind of never know.
Monte Ellis has been really bad for them this year. Like really, really bad. Like they're worse when he's playing. So I can definitely see Lou being moved. Pacers like wanting someone like Lou because they don't seem to want to start CJ Miles for some weird reason. But having another guy,
they play CJ Miles as like a 3-4.
Oh, they do. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm looking at their roster. Like the one that makes the most sense, I guess, is Rodney Stuckey.
Mm-hmm.
They make the same amount, and you would get the pick. I mean, I guess that's not terrible. But then if that helps them improve, then you're assuming their draft pick goes into the 20s, which would be fine. Mm-hmm. It's just not anything really exciting, I guess. I mean, which for what I say, how I think it might depress it, that might be the move. You know?
I mean, it's still a pick, which is still good. I mean,
yeah. I mean, Lavoy Allen wouldn't make any sense. He'd be an immediate cut.
Joe Young.
And then Joe Young only makes $1.05 million. Like they go Paul George, Thad, Monte, Al Jefferson all make over 10. And then there's two guys, Rodney Stuckey and Jeff Teague, they make over 7. And then there's a quick drop off to 4.5 for CJ Miles. They're not giving him up. They rely on him a lot. I mean, that might be the deal you're looking at, though. Rodney Stuckey for Lou Williams and their pick.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be the worst trade in the world. I don't know. I can check what his contract looks like real quick.
Real quick.
So yeah, I mean, like, I think that's probably going to be like the more likely move if like the Wizards don't want to do that move. I think that Mitch moves on to like Indiana or some other like contending team that's like throwing out their first round pick. And
it's a player option.
Okay.
So you would have him most likely for next year.
Yeah,
because he hasn't been that great this year, and I think he's been hurt as well. So you would probably have him next year.
Yeah, you probably want to stay with the Lakers just because the Lakers don't have a backup point guard and get some run time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously we don't know exactly how the market's going to react, but it will be hit some, and Lou Williams' trade value is definitely gone down. By how much is yet to be known, but we're still optimistic that he can draw a first-round pick or a young player, a young asset. So that's kind of the hope. And finally, to end the podcast, I kind of wanted to talk about how this affects Team Tank, and because I am 100% on a Team Tank. I want to keep that pick. I've been a loyal tankist for a while now. Yeah, I've been a tankist for a while now. I was the first one to be on the tank. I don't care what anyone else says. I was the first one to be on the tank last year, and we got Brandon Ingram. So I hopped on this tank a little bit late, but I'm on it now, and I want Josh Jackson or my boy Jonathan Isaac because we're not gonna get one more pick as much as I love Fultz. So I'm gonna go something to you, Merge, since Clayton talks way too much and needs to shut up. How do you think this affects Team Tank, and do you think that the Lakers can still keep their pick?
I think this has to do with this kind of relies on if Lou's traded or not. I think Lou gives us like a couple more wins. They're 5.5 ahead of us. I mean, the Kings might end up being that bad the rest of the season because I mean their starting lineup is looking very grim, but I'm not too worried about it at the moment. I can see it going both ways, honestly. I 100% want to keep the pick, and I mean we can also see the Suns possibly winning more games too.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I would say right now that it's about the same where I've been like most of this year. I think we'll end up 3 or 2. We're 2 right now, right?
Yeah, we're 3.
We're 3.
I think so.
Okay, I thought the Suns beat us.
They're half game ahead.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're still in contention for the 2 spot. So, and I mean, I think that I honestly it's kind of like a gut feeling that the Suns make a winning move, I guess, and try to get a little bit better, just because that front office is kind of like they don't have to be this bad, and I don't know what exactly they're thinking, but I think that they possibly could be looking to add a player to maybe get better. I mean, not to get into the playoffs just because it's kind of crowded up there, and New Orleans is probably going to be a for sure into the playoffs. So we don't know how it's going to work, but my hope is at least that the Kings, they win enough, and the Lakers lose enough to stay in that range. They can feel Lou. That's probably the best case scenario as far as that goes. But Clayton, what are your thoughts on how it affects Team Tank?
Like if Sacramento overtakes us?
Yeah.
I mean, they're currently actual Sacramento is 5.5 in front of us, and there's what, 27, 28 games left.
Something like that.
I mean, they'd literally have to just go on a free fall, I think, to go farther. But I mean, they have no.
It's gonna be a lot of Buddy Hield iso ball.
Yeah, they have no reason to tank. They don't. I mean, because they got it. The Philadelphia 76ers have a pick swap. So if they do go tank, then Philly gets their pick.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course if they stay outside the top 10, Chicago gets their pick. So they can't just go free fall, unless Philly goes free fall, and then I have no problem being on Team Tank. I want to keep the pick bad. I don't think this really pushes them that much worse than us. I mean, like their roster should be worse than us, but I don't know if they're actually done wheeling and dealing.
Yeah.
They may try and get someone to replace Rudy Gay.
Mm-hmm. Just someone to take over.
I'd happily trade them Boateng for Rudy Gay and
Willie
Ben
Cauley.
McLemore.
Oh, Ben McLemore, yeah.
I mean, I want Willie Cauley-Stein, but he's
their center. Well, I mean, not really. They still have Kufis,
and I mean, then they got, of course, Papagiannis and Scal they have listed as a 4. But I mean, the point is like they might not be done.
Yeah.
I don't think it really affects us that much yet. I mean, we'll have to see, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm just not ready to say that they're going to be that much. Excuse me, that they're going to be that much worse than us.
Yeah. Like Lakers have a pretty good gap on them, and obviously the Lakers' talent I think is much better in my opinion. But the Lakers are still young, and their vets are bad, and except for Lou, but all the other vets are bad, and the young players are really inconsistent. So that's going to equate to losses on their own. And if you get rid of Lou, then that's a couple wins off the board already. As much as we're not big fans of Lou, he still wins his games, whether it's just by scoring and dominating fourth quarters and letting us come back in games. So that'll do for this podcast. This was an emergency podcast, had to be done because Boogie was such a fan favorite of the Lakers. Boogie was their main target.
Yeah,
a fan favorite of a fan base that he doesn't even play for.
Yeah. I mean, it
gotta love it.
Sad, but
like Lakers fans love Cousins more than D'Angelo. So
well, I mean they love every star except our own player.
Yeah, because we only draft busts in this organization. So Merge on this podcast. So he doesn't have anything to plug. Clayton, do you got anything coming up?
I mean, I put out the thing about how the Lakers are looking to deal Lou. I'll probably wrap up an article where just to say how important it is that we deal him. With so much stuff that was put out on Magic, the front office piece that I had kind of didn't make sense at the time. So maybe we'll see. Maybe I can flip it to put into full thoughts of how this just shows like the front office is doing the right thing for the franchise, even though people will hate that.
Yeah, well, I was gonna write that, but you can take claim. It's fine.
You didn't call it punk.
Oh wow! Okay.
Whoa!
Shots fired.
You're dropping the P-bomb right now.
Yeah. Come on, Clayton. That's a word we'll use on the streets. That's not very classy of you. So yeah.
Give me a Temecula.
So I was planning on writing an article until someone stole it from my brain. So now I'm working on the Alonzo thing because Alonzo's my favorite player ever. And me and Merge have a podcast, another shameless plug for the culture. It's in-depth draft stuff. If you guys want to go check that out, if you want to hear our voices and us argue about Josh Jackson, Jonathan Isaac. So be sure to give that a listen if you guys are interested, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.